Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Conquer College Admissions. Today I'm going to be talking about 5 books that I've used to not only help myself with time management, self-help, and much more, but also helping my students with this process, especially during the stressful college admissions journey. So I'm going to share 5 books with you, so let's go ahead and get started. As a college consultant, we talk a lot about college admission strategies and how do you stand out, how to get good grades. And while those things are important, I really help my students identify what their values are, help them improve their time management and efficiency skills. I also enable my students to really tap into their interests and foster them into passion. And all of this comes from my love for self-help books. And so I thought that I would share a couple of them with you today so that you can also read the book, or if you're busy, you can also use an Audible version, which is great because it's always on the go and you can listen to it while you are going to school or coming back from school or etc. So the first book that I want to share with you is Deep Work by Cal Newport. This book is one of my favorites because it talks about time management and efficiency, not in such a way that gives you an idea that you always have to follow this one system, but he talks about, first of all, why deep work was important, and also gives examples of experts in their field who practices different types of deep work and rituals and habits. And one favorite quote from this book is, "The key to developing a deep work habit is to move beyond good intentions and add routines and rituals to your working life designed to minimize the amount of limited willpower necessary to transition into and maintain a state of unbroken concentration." And I think we just get so caught up with social media, emails, Facebook, Instagram, all of those surface level activities that we lose sight of what is really considered deep work, and how can we get to deep work is also another question that he answers in the book. I would definitely recommend this book to those students who feel like what they do is not giving them the result that they're looking for. And when you feel like what you're learning is not really deep, it's most of like surface level homework assignments and quizzes that's not giving you a sense of inspiration. And so it basically, as it says in the book, it's rules for focused success in a distracted world. And he also taps into social media and phone usage in one of his chapters. And I know that Cal Newport just released this new book about social media, but this one also talks about what kinds of rituals you can implement into your life so that you're not always distracted by social media and emails and whatnot. And so I would definitely recommend this book to you guys. The second book that I would like to recommend is literally like an introduction to self-help. And this is Self-Coaching 101 by Brooke Castillo. And Brooke Castillo is a life coach, and I've followed her work for about 2 years now. I was in her coaching program, and I also learned how to control my thoughts and feelings into my day-to-day life. And those are the things that I also teach to my high school students, because a lot of students think about thoughts or circumstances that are not really serving them. And so basically this is a rule book for how to control your thoughts so that you're not always thinking about, am I good enough? Am I smart enough? Am I a loser? You know, all of those like bad thoughts that circles around your head. So to give you a general overview of Brooke Castillo's model, it's basically that we always have a circumstance. So circumstance is always going to be a fact. So for example, I got a C on my test. That's a circumstance. I gained 20 pounds. That's a circumstance. I lost the election. That's a circumstance. I won the election. That's a circumstance. So it's a fact. And based on our circumstance, we create thoughts about it. So we create meaning out of the circumstance, right? And so our thoughts could easily be very negative, which is, if I did get a C on my test, I could think, oh, I'm stupid, or I'm not good enough, or I failed again, so I am stupid or not worth it. I will be a loser in life. I will not go to the college that I want to, hence I'm not, good enough for my parents, or, whatever thoughts you have. Or if your friend is like prettier than you, or smarter than you, or richer than you, whatever you see in comparison to your life, you could also create thoughts around it. And our thoughts ultimately create our feelings. So when you do think these negative thoughts, you start to feel bad, you start to feel horrible, you start to feel depressed, you start to feel anxious. And then our feelings are what really creates our action steps. So based on our feelings, let's say I feel really anxious. What I do, I would bite my nails, or I would not study, or I would go into bed, I would watch Netflix. If I feel like I'm not good enough and I feel like a loser or stupid, I would not open up my book and start studying, right? You only study when you are feeling motivated and inspired and purposeful to do so. And so your feelings will create that action, and then your action will create the result. And so the result will end up being the circumstance again, so which circles around, which becomes a pattern. And so it's really to disrupt your negative thoughts so that you reorient the way that you think and the way that you feel, hence making better choices. And so this is a good introductory course, very simplified, really easy to read. And so I would definitely recommend those who are just getting started with this kind of work and self-help. If you want to better your life, then definitely a go-to book. Next book that I would like to recommend is The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And I see a lot of high school students saying things like, oh, I don't know what I really want to do. I don't know what I'm really good at. I don't know what activities will be a good fit for me. Or they would say, I don't know, or they would say, I'm not sure which activities would be a good fit for my college application. So there's a difference between ego and higher self. So if ego comes from a sense of, oh, I need to do this activity so that I could get into my college. Higher self really comes from a place of abundance. So it means I really want to start dance again because it makes me feel whole and complete, and I just love it. And so the reason why you decide to start dance again is not coming from ego, but it's coming from your higher self. And so basically this book is not really talking about ego versus higher self. I mean, it does for a little bit, but not too much. But what this book talks about is how do you find your zone of genius, which means this is a place where you're really thriving, you're really good at it, you really love it, and that's exactly where you need to be so that you can excel in your personal life, academic life, and in your professional life. So to give you a definition, it says, in your zone of genius, you don't feel like you're working. Even though the time you spend there produces great financial abundance, you do not feel that you're expending effort to produce it. In your zone of genius, work doesn't feel like work. And so it helps you find out what your zone of genius is. And it also gives you like really good questions to discover your story. So questions like, where do I feel out of integrity with myself? What is keeping me from feeling complete and whole? What important feelings am I not letting into my awareness? Where in my life am I not telling the full truth? Where in my life have I not kept my promises? In my relationship with blank, what do I need to say or do to feel complete, the whole? And so I actually picked up this book again to share with you guys. And actually it has been almost a year since I read this book. And just reading back to a couple of the pages to share quotes with you guys, I really wanted to reread this book again. So I would definitely recommend this book. It's a really easy read again. And if you don't have time, you could also listen to the Audible version. Next book that I want to recommend is, of course, Carol Dweck's Growth Mindset. Well, actually the book is titled Mindset, but in this book, Carol Dweck talks about the difference between fixed mindset and growth mindset. So fixed mindset is when you say things like, I can't do this, this is just the way I am this type of a person and it cannot be changed. Whereas in growth mindset says, yeah, I could do that. Let me try it. Let me give it a try. And you're not really afraid of minor mistakes or failures and then getting back up to do it again. That's just a really condensed version. But in this book, Carol Dweck talks about how people with growth mindset tend to be more successful. Students with growth mindset are, obviously, happier, and I love the fact that it's broken down into parenting, business, school, and relationships. So since all of you watching this, you guys are in school, you could read the areas where they talk about school. And then parents could also listen to the parenting or read the part about parenting. And I've been working with students for 10 years now, and I always come across different types of students, and in the beginning of my relationship with my college consulting students, they would say things like, I can't do it. That's not possible. That's just the way I am. And they've sort of fixed this identity for themselves. And I feel so unfortunate to see this. And I feel so bad seeing this. And one of the things that we always talk about first is, okay, how can we declutter that part of the identity that you created yourself, take that out, eliminate it together, and then create a new identity for you, and understand that you do have a growth mindset and that it's something that can be learned. It's not like you're born with, okay, I have a fixed mindset kind of a mentality. So I love this book. And in regards to college admissions, I feel like colleges do want to see students with a growth mindset. They want students who've done it, failed, got back up again and doing it again, and knowing that you can always learn something, that nothing in life is ever fixed. Everything changes every second of our lives. And so I would definitely recommend this book. This one is a little bit on the denser side in terms of text, and so just wanted to let you know, but this could be like a good summer read, so definitely pick up on this. All right, the last book that I want to recommend you is Essentialism by Greg McKeown. And Essentialism was just such an inspiration to me because I share this philosophy with my students on a daily basis. So Essentialism basically means that you pick out what's really serving you and you only focus on what you really need to focus on. And I'm simplifying it again for the sake of this video, but it helps you narrow down, okay, what's a yes and what's a no? Should I do it or should I not? Is this something that I should take on, or is it something that someone else should take on? Is doing this activity really going to help me with my college admissions, or am I just doing this for the sake of getting into a college? So it really gets you to understand how to be more successful and how to be an essentialist. So to give you an example, Essentialist has a strategy that is concrete and inspirational. The Essentialist has an intent that is both meaningful and memorable. Essentialist makes one decision that eliminates 1,000 later decisions. And so you're not wasting time thinking, what if this, what if that, but you're really understanding that making a decision right then and there is very important, so that you could really focus on what's really going to serve you, because we all have limited time, right? And then I also loved the chapter about motivation and how successful people are always creating small wins, which leads them to a really big win. Whereas in people who aren't so successful, they just wish for a big win at the very beginning, and then they just lose their entire motivation and purpose to begin with. And to show you like the chart, this is the creating small wins, and then this is forcing a big win. So I love the graphics, the examples. And this book really inspired me to help my students think differently in regards to, don't do a lot of activities, don't do a lot of extracurriculars for the sake of doing it, but really understand that one or two core activities that's going to serve you, and do it step by step. And that's exactly what colleges want to see anyway, like an authentic list of activities, not a bunch of random activities that seem good on the surface, but really doesn't tell them about who you are. All right, you guys, that was it for my 5 book recommendations that changed my life. And I am always reading. Listening to Audible and podcasts. And so once I have another 3 to 4 books that I would like to recommend you to, I would definitely come back and do that. Also, if you are interested, I am offering a free one-on-one strategy session where on the call I assess your GPA, statistics, extracurriculars, summer programs, and really seeing if you would be a good fit for my one-on-one college consulting program. We also have a Facebook group, Conquer College Admissions, where I do Facebook Lives and trainings, post articles, inspiration, quotes, much more. So if you want to navigate your college admissions journey with a lot of other high school students and parents just like you, with my resources, then definitely check it out. The link will also be down below. Of course, we have our podcast, Demystifying College Admissions Podcast, and there we invite guest experts from all fields to talk about college admissions, interests, self-help, much more. I also do solo episodes on self-help and how you can really go through this college admissions journey the healthy way. So definitely check out all the free resources down below in the description. I will also leave the links to these books in the description box as well. So that's it, you guys. I hope that you found this video helpful. Let's continue to learn and be inspired by all the resources that we get to come across. All right, so have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll be back here next time. Bye.